He stood by Trump for 4 years, but under oath Mark Meadows turned. What he revealed shocked the investigators and destroyed Trump's defense. This changes everything. Mark Meadows was Donald Trump's unwavering ally through some of the most tumultuous moments of his presidency. As White House Chief of Staff, Meadows stood by Trump's side during 2 impeachment trials, navigating the political firestorm with steadfast loyalty. He was a constant presence during the COVID-19 briefings, defending the administration's response to a skeptical press. Through the chaotic 2020 election, Meadows was a key figure in the campaign strategy, standing behind every claim, every tweet, every press conference, amplifying Trump's narrative that the election was riddled with fraud. Even on January 6, 2021, as the Capitol riot unfolded, Meadows remained a loyal soldier, seemingly unshaken by the chaos that gripped the nation, but behind closed doors. A very different story was unfolding, one that would shake the foundations of Trump's inner circle and threaten to unravel his legal and political defenses. In late 2023, a bombshell revelation emerged. Mark Meadows, one of Trump's most trusted confidants, had quietly signed a limited immunity agreement with special counsel Jack Smith, who was investigating Trump's actions surrounding the 2020 election in January 6. The agreement was a closely guarded secret until ABC News broke the story, sending shockwaves through political circles. Why would Meadows, the man who had stood by Trump through every controversy, agree to cooperate with federal prosecutors? The answer lies in what Meadows knew and what he was willing to tell investigators, according to sources familiar with the investigation. Meadows provided testimony that directly contradicted Trump's public claims about the 2020 election. In private conversations with prosecutors, Meadows revealed that Trump was explicitly told by lawyers, staffers, and Meadows himself that there was no credible evidence of widespread voter fraud sufficient to overturn the election results. Meadows went further, admitting that Trump was dishonest on election night when he declared victory and began pushing the narrative of a stolen election. Meadows reportedly told Trump personally not to claim victory prematurely, warning him that the results were still being counted and that such a move could undermine the democratic process. But Trump ignored the advice, stepping to the podium on November 3, 2020, to declare, "Frankly, we did win this election." This revelation is nothing short of devastating for Trump's legal defense, the cornerstone of Trump's argument in the January 6 case and in related investigations into the alternate electors scheme has been that he genuinely believed the election was stolen. His legal team has consistently argued that Trump's actions were driven by a sincere belief in widespread fraud, which, if true, could mitigate his culpability in inciting the Capitol riot or attempting to subvert the electoral process. But Meadows' testimony obliterates that defense. If Meadows, one of Trump's closest advisors, personally informed him that there was no evidence of fraud, then Trump's claims were not just mistaken, they were knowingly false. In legal terms, this introduces the concept of mens rea or criminal intent, which could transform Trump's actions from misguided to deliberately deceptive. For prosecutors, this is a game changer, providing a direct link between Trump's private knowledge and his public actions. The fallout from Meadows' cooperation was immediate and intense. When news of his immunity deal and testimony leaked, Trump was reportedly furious, viewing it as a personal betrayal from someone he had trusted implicitly. In an attempt to reclaim the narrative, Trump took to the airwaves, appearing on shows like Gutfeld, to push back against the growing scandal. On one particularly chaotic night, sources say Trump stormed onto the set, seizing the microphone to deliver an impassioned defense. "I don't lie, I tell what the people see." The outburst was vintage Trump, defiant, unapologetic, and aimed at rallying his base. But behind the bravado, the cracks in his inner circle were becoming impossible to ignore. Meadows' testimony carries extraordinary weight because of his proximity to Trump during the critical moments in question. As Chief of Staff, Meadows was in the room for key decisions in the Oval Office, in campaign strategy sessions, and on election night itself. He was privy to the private conversations where Trump was briefed on the election results, where lawyers and advisors laid out the lack of evidence for fraud, and where the decision to declare victory was made. If Meadows takes the stand in court, his first-hand account could be devastating. A jury is likely to find his testimony credible, not only because of his role but also because his decision to cooperate suggests he is prioritizing legal protection over loyalty to Trump. For a jury, this could paint a vivid picture of a president who knowingly spread falsehoods to cling to power. Even as his closest advisors urged him to accept reality, the political implications are equally seismic. On Truth Social, Trump lashed out at Meadows, calling him a coward, a deep state sellout, and hinting that he was flipping to save himself. The attacks were a clear attempt to discredit Meadows before his testimony could reach a courtroom. But Meadows has remained silent, letting his statements to prosecutors speak for themselves. His testimony is already on the record, and as the trial approaches, legal analysts expect him to take the stand. If the proceedings are televised or if courtroom footage is made public, the impact could be catastrophic for Trump, not just in the legal arena but in the court of public opinion. For millions of Trump supporters, Meadows' testimony could be a turning point. Trump's base has remained fiercely loyal, standing by him through indictments, controversies, and political turmoil. But Meadows is not an outsider or a political opponent. He was one of Trump's most trusted allies, a figure who stood shoulder to shoulder with him during the most contentious moments of his presidency. If a jury believes Meadows and if his testimony is broadcast to the nation, it could erode the trust of even Trump's most ardent supporters. The image of a president who knowingly lied about the election could fracture his political coalition, leaving him vulnerable not only to conviction but to a loss of the unwavering loyalty that has defined his movement. The trial, set to begin soon, will be a defining moment. Meadows' testimony is expected to be a centerpiece of the prosecution's case, offering a rare glimpse into the inner workings of Trump's White House during one of the most consequential periods in modern American history. The possibility of public footage, whether from courtroom cameras or leaked recordings, only heightens the stakes. The man who once stood silently beside Trump, defending his every move, may now become the key figure in his downfall. This is not just a political scandal, it's a saga of betrayal, truth, and loyalty tested to its breaking point. It's the story of a presidency unraveling from the inside out as one of its most loyal architects turns against it. For Trump, the legal consequences could be severe, potentially leading to convictions on charges related to election interference or incitement. But the broader impact may be even more profound: the erosion of a political legacy built on the unwavering belief of millions. As the trial looms, the question is not just whether Meadows' testimony will hold up in court, but whether it will reshape the way history remembers Donald Trump.